Welcome to Alchemy Soul, a space for honest conversations about transformation, spiritual awakening, and the messy process of becoming who you are. I am Marquita, and I'm super grateful to have you all here with me. Y'all, listen, I have officially moved out of the country, and I don't know if, with me recording this, I don't know if you're going to get a whole bunch of feedback because I don't have the best mic while I'm recording this. But also, I have moved to Colombia, and this Airbnb that I have rented, like they don't. So first of all, it's on a busy road, but also they don't allow for it. Like it's not closing. Like the window is like stuck open for ventilation, and I can't close it, and so it's really loud. And I'm like, oh my God, there's so much to adjust to. I have, just to give you perspective, like, I moved to, so I was living in, so I'm trying to think, when did I start getting really sensitive to sound? As I lived in Atlanta, but then I moved to the outskirts of Atlanta. So I've been like living in pretty much like rural territory ever since like 20 my daughter's born 2021. 2021 is when I moved to the outskirts of Atlanta, and ever since then, every place that I have gone has been fairly quiet. And even though I have did spend 60 days here in 2023, I was inside of a neighborhood and it wasn't as loud. So this is a bit of an adjustment to me, although I don't plan to stay here for the long term. I do have this place booked for 2 weeks. So you all will be, here with me along this ride. I don't know for sure if I'm going to keep it or if I'm going to do the full 2 weeks or not, just based off of everything that's going on. But anyway, I am here, y'all. I am here and I am a little bit tired. So I might be a little bit more rambly today, but I am showing up because I promised myself that I would, right? And now that I have developed like such consistency, I look forward to every week coming here and kind of talking with you all. Like I genuinely look forward to, just decompressing my week and kind of just speaking with you all about some of the revelations. And this past week has been full of so many revelations as I prepared for this move. Okay. And so we are going to start with yesterday and work our way backwards. So yesterday was my travel day and it was all good, but when I arrived, um, I was just super tired, but I was also hungry, so I knew I had to find me some food. And so I ordered me some things from Rappi, which took forever. My card got declined because apparently I didn't switch over and tell them that I was going to be out of the country. So I had to figure that out. And then I finally figured out what I could eat. By the time I figured out what I wanted to eat, like several times, like they were closed. So I would decide on a place, and then by the time I added it to the cart and was ready to check out, then they would say that they were closed. And so it took me like 45 minutes to an hour to finally decide on something and give me something to eat. So, first of all, culture shock, right? Like, I don't know if it's talked about enough, like the culture shock when you are really like trying to inundate yourself into a culture, right? Like, I don't know Spanish, so it took me a whole lot longer to order my food because I had to translate every single thing. I still haven't figured out how to make my Rappi app into English, but I'll figure that out later. So it took me that much longer because I had to translate every single thing. And I'm like, okay, so first of all, high on my priority list should be to learn how to speak Spanish, right? Like that should be the first thing on the top of my list. Excuse me. And so um I went through that and I finally got my food. I went downstairs and got my food. And when I came back up, y'all, I was trying to put the code into the Airbnb and I got locked out. Yep. I got locked out on my first night here in Medellin, Colombia. I got locked out, and the only thing I could do was laugh. That's the only thing I could do was laugh, like literally laughing myself through the situation. Because one thing for sure, like I am going to learn some lessons, right? Like I am going to learn as I go. I'm not a person that feels like I have to have all the things together before I actually go. And it's funny that I say that though, because just based off of who I am, like I do like things to be planned out and sort of aligned for me to like make moves. However, I feel like me making moves is different from the way everybody else makes moves, right? So for example, a lot of times when I'm looking at things on YouTube or looking at different people who have expatted or different people who have immigrated or different people who have decided that they're going to slow travel or just do a whole bunch of traveling in different cultures, is that they always talk about these very specific steps that they needed to do, or they suggest people do in order to make the experience successful. And it's so funny because you can do all the planning in the world, but nothing is going to prepare you better than you actually doing it, like, and actually being in the place, right? And I learned that with my first experience when I tried to move abroad in 2023, right? Like, I did all the planning, I did all the research, I did all the things, and it probably took me way longer to actually leave than it needed to, right? Because what I was doing is I was taking my time and planning and saving my money and selling my things and doing all that, when really it probably could have happened a lot faster if I wasn't overthinking and over planning. And so what this time around, I'm like, I'm not doing all that. I definitely still do my research, of course, because things change, visas change, policies change, and stuff like that. So, of course, I'm going to be aware of like policy changes and, visa changes and stuff like that. But outside of that, like, I feel like the best teacher is going to always be when you touch down, you know? So I'm just learning as I go. And I feel like that is how you adapt to your environment. Like nothing, nothing, I was going to say it again, nothing will prepare you. So I'm not a huge believer in like over planning anymore, especially when it comes to like something that that you are meant to be doing. If you feel called to it, if you feel called to it and not just copying what you see on the internet, right? Because that's a whole nother thing. People be copying what they see on the internet and really be thinking that that's how it is when they get there, and that is not the case. Like you have to have a lot of resilience, you have to have a lot of strength, you have to know how to manage your emotions, right? Because this is an emotional experience, right? Like for me, I could have very well panicked when I couldn't get in my Airbnb yesterday. I could have panicked, um, because the sensor in the hallway, I was trying to get the code into the door and it locks me out. And the sensor in the hallway for the light kept going out because I wasn't moving. So I kept having to move and walk back and forth to keep the light on. It's so funny. It's just so funny to think about. But even in a moment, like I could have panicked, I could have gotten, really emotional about the situation, but I didn't. I just laughed And I called the Airbnb host a couple of times, and then I messaged them a couple of times, and they finally got back to me. It didn't take long, but those 5 to 10 minutes felt like forever, because now I'm locked out, and now it's that I'm sitting in the dark, and I have to keep walking back and forth to keep the light on. So it's just little things like that. Like, you have to be calm, right? Like, when I went to Thailand in 2023, I was not emotionally prepared for all of the things that occurred. I was not emotionally prepared for all of the just the foreign things that happen. You're talking about language, right? You're talking about food. You're talking about navigation. You're talking about safety. What areas are safe? Am I safe here? You're talking about your comfortability, your comfort inside of the home. Your comfort. And is it loud? Right? Like I said, my place where I'm at right now, it's loud outside. I had to sleep with earplugs in last night, and even then, I was so tired that luckily I slept well, but even then I could still kind of hear the noise. So it was just things like that where you just don't know until you get there. And I'm grateful because I have had life experiences that have taught me how to pivot at every turn. I have had life experiences that have just taught me how to keep going and not allow the little things to be the breaking point. I feel like if I would have had the emotional capacity to stick with things in Thailand when I went in 2023, then I would have been successful. However, I feel that um, I was too much and too far into postpartum depression to where I just couldn't manage it and manage my daughter and manage myself and my mental health and my emotions. So I made the best decision for me and for us, and I came back. And yeah, so that's where I'm at. This is where I'm at. That's what happened yesterday. And just over this past week, I have been having a lot of conversations with a lot of people. One conversation in particular I would like to highlight was with this beautiful woman that is in one of the communities that we share together. She and I connected, and we had a conversation, and I just kind of want to highlight this conversation today as well, because it's really reminded me that it's okay to pop my shit. Like, that has been like the theme of this week, honestly, because I talked to my homeboy actually earlier in the week before I even connected with her, and he was like talking to me, and I was telling him my plans to move to Colombia, and I was like, I'm not that excited. I was very calm. I'm very detached from the whole situation because I was telling him about my savings goals and my plans. And so this is basically like a geo arbitrage experience. And so what geo arbitraging is, if you're not familiar, is basically just going to another location where the currency is lower than where you currently live, and allowing that to be your support, and allowing that to help you with savings, and allowing that to help you build businesses, and so on and so forth. And so I was telling him about that, and I was like, it's not that like I'm about to be like a travel influencer out here going to all of these new places and checking out all of this. Like, no, I'm just about to live. I'm about to live like a local, and what I think that a local lives like, and just and live my everyday life. And, he was like, that's a flex. He was like, that's a flex. He was like, you don't see it as a flex because you are actively living in it, but not everybody get the chance and opportunity to just say, oh, I'm just about to move out of the country. And I was like, oh, he's like, yeah, so you need to make sure that you are owning, your accomplishments, making sure that you are popping your shit, like you are doing it, you are actively doing it. And a lot of people, they dream of doing it, right? Like, a lot of people say they want to do it. A lot of people say, I'm going to wait until this, I'm going to wait until that. But I am actively doing it, And even though I left in 2023 and came back in between 2023 and now, that was still me doing it, right? Like, that was still my time frame that I needed for myself to get myself, my mind, my body, my spirit, my finances, my emotions, and everything in order to make this next step. That's the reason why I could laugh through being locked out in a foreign place, Um, it's because I gave myself the time to work on myself. I gave myself the time to understand myself. And so, just going back to, a conversation that me and my homegirl had, that I met from out of the group. I was talking to her. We were talking about a bunch of things, spirituality being the first thing, because we're both in the same group where um this is like a spiritual wellness group. I've talked about it before. It's called the Wellness Community. We're both in the wellness community, and we were talking about a few things. And, of course, I asked her, like, what she do for work. And then she asked me what I do for work. And, I told her, I'm like, I'm a personal development coach. I'm a YouTuber. I have the podcast, and I'm an author. And I think I said author in the beginning. And she was like, wait. And she was like, wait, go back. She was like, you're an author. Like, what have you written? And, and I told her the name of my book. And like, my book is named Walking in Power. And I was about to say, but, what I was gonna say, I think, was, but it's not my best work. I think I was gonna say, but it's not as big as I wanted it to be. And I don't really know in that moment what I was gonna say, but those are some of the things that come to mind when I think about my first book. Is I wanted it to be, or I want it to be bigger than, it is. I want people to know it, and I want people to read it. But ain't nobody gonna be able to read it if I don't talk about it, right? Ain't nobody gonna be able to read it if I don't tell them about it. And so she was like, I was like, I don't know why I like feel uncomfortable telling people about this part of myself. I think, of course, I think a lot of it is that a lot of it is still new, and I'm learning how to really be this woman. However, I wrote the book in 2022, and right, it's been out and people have it, and it's sold, like, I make money from it. And so it's like, yeah, let me own that a little bit more. Let me make sure that I'm telling people about this. For one, because you never, well, we never know who we are sitting across. Sorry, we never know who we are sitting across from. Meaning that I am just meeting her. I don't know. She could have been the next person that was going to book me for a keynote speech, or the next person who was going to help me talk to this publisher to help me get my next book published. I don't know, right? Like, I don't know. And the less I talk about who I am, what I have done, and what I am doing, the less opportunities I have to expand and grow. And so it was a lesson for me in like, for one, like I said, make sure you popping your shit, but two, making sure that you are telling people who you are and what you're doing because you want to grow, you want to expand. And I just felt that, but what me and her talked about and why I keep saying like making sure you pop your shit is because she was like, um, sometimes when we are, talking about the things we have accomplished, we don't want to make the next person feel inferior. And so what we'll do is that we will dim our own light instead of, making sure that our light is always bright and shining, but we'll dim our own light for the comfort of other people, even if the other person hasn't said anything to make to insinuate that they are inferior, right? Like it's like a it's like an unspoken perception of a perception, right? Like it's like I am perceiving you, that you are perceiving me to be superior, and you didn't even say that. Jay Shetty said it, but I can't repeat it. But if any of you know what I'm talking about when Jay Shetty says like, I can't say it, but that's what we do. We take on these perceptions of what we think the other person is doing and we put them on us and we wear them and we damn ourselves down and we, stop ourselves from doing things, and we we create this internalized chaos, right? Or the internalized limitations and blockages that limit us from being our God given self, like from being like that girl, from being, that nigga. You know what I mean? Like, so I just, yeah. So we had that conversation and it helped me, realize that I do it a lot, but I'm conscious of it because I stop myself, and that just goes to the point of like being self-aware, knowing yourself, and being conscious of the things that you are working through, right? Because there was a point in time where I would have just said it and I wouldn't have stopped myself. But because I know that it was a thing that I do before me and her had the conversation, then I was able to stop myself in the moments and be aware of my thoughts and how I felt in that moment. And that's how we were able to talk about it. Um, so just having knowledge of self and being conscious of your things that you are working through is so important to your transformation journey. It's so important to your awakening, right? You are stepping into this becoming of this man or woman that you want to be, but I won't say but, I would say and you have to do the work to understand what that looks like. You have to do the work to understand who you are becoming. You have to do the work to understand your patterns and the things that you continuously do to limit yourself. And that takes time. It takes time and deep introspection. And it takes time spent intentionally with you, right? Like we spend the most time with ourselves. Like, So if your relationship with yourself is not tight knit, I don't even know. Like, you have a lot of work to do. Um, but the reason why I say, we spend the most time with ourselves, but sometimes that time when we are in solitude is spent scrolling on the internet or scrolling on your phone. It's spent looking at TV or, looking at something on the internet instead of really just sitting quietly and sitting calmly or taking a walk, being in nature, and really just be with yourself. Like, sit with yourself and understand yourself. Sometimes we don't, I would say, and sometimes we don't know the things we have to work on until we are in community with other people, right? I think that, yes, while it is important to make sure that you're spending time with yourself, you don't know how far you have grown and how far you have evolved until you actually get in community with other people, right? I always used to say that, like, baby, like, listen, you get into a romantic relationship, the romantic relationship is gonna take you all the way back to your inner child. It's gonna take you back to that little boy or that little girl that's inside of you, because it's always that the other person is always going to mirror or pull out some parts of you that are unhealed. That's just how it goes, right? I feel like relationships are for seeing how much you have grown, but also for how much you can do to evolve. And so that's why it's important, to make sure that you have community. Um, yeah, we also talked about spirituality. I do the same thing. I did the same thing with my spirituality as well. I would hide, or try to hide. I don't even know if I can hide it, because it's like my essence, right? Like, like, my spirituality is my essence. It's who I am. It's how I speak. It's how I explain things. Like, I can't even try to dim it down, even if I wanted to, because it comes out in everything that I do, and just how I am. And so, but I would say for a long time, I tried to mask. That's not the right word, but I can't think of the word that I want to use. But I tried to mask this part of myself for the comfort of other people, or for thinking that they wouldn't understand. For example, like my mom, I would hide, me staging the house when I would come over. I would hide, me wanting to cleanse her home and stuff like that when I came to her house. But when she moved to her new place, I did it. I did it with her, and I actually did a full moon release ceremony with her. And that full moon release ceremony that I did with her was like the breadcrumb for her to start awakening in her spiritual journey, right? So, if anything, like, I always want to, encourage everybody to just be their most authentic self. But sometimes that is easier said than done. Like I said, you have to spend time with yourself, but your authentic self and who you are at your core can be the key to so many others. It can be the key to so many things, so many opportunities for you, so many opportunities. Excuse me, guys. So many opportunities for the next person. If I had continued on masking this part of myself, my mom wouldn't have started to tap in and know her God given self, and know that God is inside of her. Um, Yeah, it's so loud. I have a really soft voice too, so I hope you all can hear me. I'm gonna work. Well, I was gonna say I'm. Listen here, I was about to say I'm gonna work really hard and I'm gonna get me a mic, a better mic. But listen, I am not the person that works. I don't believe in hard work. I believe that the work that I do can be easy, and it is easy. I wholeheartedly believe that. Especially when you do what you love to do, right? Like when you do what you love to do, you have to, like, the things that you love to do is love, right? Like the love is going to open up to the abundance and to the prosperity because you are in natural flow and rhythm of the things that you love, you enjoy doing. So, yeah, that was a little just side note, but yes, yes, that is what I want to, just to talk to you all about. Like, it's so many blessings come with being your authentic self, right? But sometimes people don't know what that authentic self is because they have masked themselves for so long. For example, people who code switch. I have never been a person that code switched, okay? But people who code switch, like they are constantly switching and changing themselves just in different environments based on who they are in front of. And I just think that that is crazy. I think that that is crazy. But it's because people don't know the value, or I would say it's because they don't know the value in being their authentic self. Like it's power in being a black woman, right? It's power in the language of where you are from. It's power in the fact that I am from Chicago and my accent has hints of Chicago in it. It's powerful that somebody from New Orleans, you listen to them and you know they are from New Orleans. Like it's power in your culture, it's power in just where you are. Yes, we are a collective, community of black people, and of course if you're not black, then you can't relate to this portion of what I'm about to talk about. But it's like, yes, you are a collective portion of black people, but who you are is where it's where you're from, and it's a part of you. And so it's just like, why take that part away when you're in community with certain people? It's because you don't know the value of your authentic self. And so if you just allow the authenticity to lead the way, then you will know that, for one, you don't even have to be in community in the spaces that make you code switch, right? It will get you closer to yourself to understand that the things that are in alignment with you won't require you to switch or change yourself, right? Like, that's important. Like, you should not have to switch your voice or switch your demeanor for the sake of money, for because oftentimes it happens at work, but for the sake of community. It can sometimes happen in different communities. But you should just be able to feel okay being your authentic self. And so, like I said, it takes work. However, I think that it is important work that should be done. It's important work that should be done because it helps you come into alignment with your purpose. It helps you come into alignment with your truth. It helps you come into alignment with your healing and with your transformation and with the man or the woman that you truly desire to be. I think that if you are here and if you are tuning in at some capacity, you are on a spiritual journey, because this is a spiritual conversation. And if you are on a spiritual journey, whether you're just, spiritually awakening, or, whether you just are in your authentic truth, right? It doesn't matter. It's just a reminder, like, your authentic truth is the catalyst. It's the catalyst for this journey here. And the more you lean into that, the more opportunities present themselves, and the more you continue to meet people and touch them and transform their lives. Each one teach one. We have to be okay with the fact that if I learned this, then I have to also teach it, right? Like, we are students and teachers in the same classroom. One of my favorite books is The Seat of the Soul. It's actually my favorite book. It's like at the top. I was actually just listening to a podcast yesterday and thinking about the book. I had read it so many times, and every single time I read that book, I take away some gems. But he talks about, the classroom, you know, and the fact that, we are teachers and students. And he also talks about authentic truth. The author is Gary Zukav, for those of you who don't know. It's called The Seat of the Soul by Gary Zukav. And he talks about authentic truth. And it's so true. Like, if you just lean into your authenticity, you are closer to yourself. You are less stressed, you are less depressed if you just lean into the authenticity of who you truly are. I really do believe that. And so I started this episode out talking about experiences being the experiences being the catalyst for. No, I started this episode out loud. Y'all, I'm tired. Listen, I feel that the experiences are the best teachers, right? I think that's what I was trying to say. So I started this episode off about being the experiences being the best teachers. And if you know within you that you have something special, right? Like, if you know within you that you have something that you always wanted to do, I encourage you to just do it. I encourage you to just do it. Don't overthink it. Don't overplan it. Like, just do it. Look at your manifestation board right now and pick something off of it, and just do it. Like, just do it. Just show up for yourself. There's a reason why you are desiring to manifest whatever it is that's on your manifestation board. And you know that you have to take some steps, and you have to take some action towards whatever it is. So just do it. Just do it. Get the experience. And if you fail, that's data. Failure is nothing but data. I know this ain't the first time you're hearing this, but failure is just data for the next time you try again. I don't believe in failure at all. The only time you fail is if you don't ever even try. That's the only time you fail. Outside of that, if you try and it doesn't work at that time, you put the lessons in your toolkit and you try again. And this, for me, is me trying again, right? This is me trying again. I wasn't as successful my first time around, but this is my second chance and my second opportunity to get the experiences that I need and allow myself to see how long I can live this life. I asked I asked ChatGPT the other day, I was like, how can I make my job my no, I asked ChatGPT, how can I make travel my job? And ChatGPT was like, girl, you asking the wrong question. They was like, you should be asking, how do I make my life the product? Because travel is my life, right? Like travel is my life. Like it's a part of my life. It's a part of just how I show up. You know, it's a part of my North Star, my North Star. Um, and it's just not travel alone, right? Like it's travel, it's speaking, it's writing, it's spirituality, it's teaching, it's personal development, and it's transformation coaching. It's all of those things because I have all of these things that's within me that I am meant to experience. And it's all a part of my life. And so my life being the product, me and my journey being the brand is what the goal is. And so, yeah, I think I have dropped all the gems I want to drop today, you guys. I'm super grateful for all of you all who are tuning in. I am still learning, I am still growing, I am still evolving my voice and my authority in my voice. Like I said, I apologize if you all can hear all the traffic in the background, but I hope that it doesn't sound too bad. But I will see you all back here next Wednesday for another episode. Peace, love, and light, beautiful souls.